Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Love and Law. My name is Virginia Warren. I'm a lawyer and conflict alchemist and co-founder of the organization called Lawyers for Love. At Lawyers for Love, we see that the legal system in its present form is using fear as a means to resolving conflict. Oh, that was an interesting sound. The legal system in its present form says, love thy neighbour, else we'll punish you. It acts as if you still need a parent. Lawyers for Love say, to solve problems, you need to shift to a higher level of consciousness than which was used to create the conflict. We say that if you love thy neighbour and you can't, we will show you how. You will learn to be self-regulating, which is not needing a parent anymore. We call this Lovers of the Essence Consciousness, or Leo Tech for short. In these live broadcasts, we are showcasing amazing lawyers globally who are bringing their own style of love into legal practice. Today, it's my great pleasure to speak with Tânia Motta Nogueira Reis. I hope I've pronounced that reasonably correctly. Tania's been practicing as an holistic lawyer since 1997. She is also a collaborative lawyer since 1998 and a member of the Integrative Law Movement created by Kim Wright. She's a writer of 4 books on women's rights and women's empowerment. She's a blogger and YouTuber and has a channel which in English says, Mum can do everything. I think she says that she's in Portuguese. The channel's in Portuguese. She's a motivational lecturer in Portuguese, English, and Spanish, and a mediator with post-graduation in Transpersonal Therapy. She's a Reiki channel since 1995. Tania is a former chairperson of the International Committee of the IAHL, the International Alliance of Holistic Lawyers, and a member of the IMTD, the Institute of Multi-Track Diplomacy in Washington, D.C. And she is also a contributor of the book Lawyers as Changemakers, written by Kim Wright. She's a peacemaker and an activist in women's rights for peace in homes, a founder of the NGO named MONGA, Organized and Non-Governed Women Corporation in Brazil. Her website and Instagram details are below, so you can reach out and contact her there. Welcome, Tania. You do so much for women's rights in the legal space, and you bring so much love into law. What we normally ask, our first question is how did you become a lawyer?
Thank you for having me, Virginia. It's a huge pleasure to have this communication, Brazil, Australia.
I know. It's amazing. It is. It's crazy across the globe. We're in such different time zones again, but how small the world has become. And yes, so in Brazil, and you're the first person I've ever spoken to live in Brazil. What motivates a person in Brazil to become a lawyer?
Oh, and for me,
Yes, for you.
My mom was my first safe harbor for justice and in empowerment for women. So when I decided to be a lawyer, and I said, oh well, I want to bring all this teachings from my mom to my clients, and I want to make it different. And I was researching about holistic law, because holistic comes from the Greek holos. Holos means the whole.
Yeah.
So holistic lawyers actually means holistic law means I can picture like an umbrella, and under this umbrella we come with collaborative law, integrative law, systemic law, and all this practice that brings, or we can work on the conflict resolution. The main point for the holistic lawyer and the client is just to work on the conflict resolution. And that's why I feel that for us as a lawyers, we are healers.
Yeah.
So this is a good path for you to finally feel that you are delivering more than saying what are your rights and what's gonna do I'm gonna do for you. I can deliver more, and we
Yeah.
can
So
deliver more.
yes. So when you started out in law school, did you see that that was what you could do with that already, or did you see something completely different and you had to move into this space?
When I was in law school, I thought that actually it's very conservative, it's very straight way of thinking, and I was making a research in English for holistic law because my husband at the time was writing his first book called a holistic vision of law. And I was
Uh,
pregnant of my daughter. So I was expecting a baby and expecting a holistic law in Brazil to bring this information to Brazil. And so I met Bill Zyverden,
yes.
the founder of the International Alliance of Holistic Law, and he invited us, Sergio and I, to go to United States for the conference the next year. And so we started. I mean, well, at this moment, we didn't have all these social media and internet thing, but email, we started talking and telephone call, and it was amazing to see. Oh my God, we gotta go there to see this. And it was wonderful to be to travel from Brazil to United States, and then to participate and to talk to them about Sergio's book and about what we were searching around the world
Yeah.
in this matter.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. So kind
So
of,
because there was no internet then, really, so how did you find out about Bill's work as in holistic law? How did you actually find this out?
yes, Googling, Googling.
Oh, you did Google back then. Oh, so when was this? When was this?
Yeah, and when we could find some articles on this
Ah,
matter, and
yeah.
we started going each year to United States and Canada to these conferences, and Bill invited me to be the chairperson for the international committee. uh, and for me I was very honored because we could work during the year for the best conference we could bring with all the professionals, professors, judges, ambassador, and all people of in general 800 professionals of all over the world. And it was wonderful to see that we all were seeking for a better practice, law practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's it, it really is interesting. So that it was all happening back then as well, and that you were able then to bring it into Brazil. So what work are you doing with that now?
Well, in Brazil, now we have all this internet, all these blogs and websites and YouTube channel, and we are always we building this connection with these old friends and bringing to this new generation the
Yeah.
possibility to find the open gate, because at that time we were very take good care of what you're talking about. What are all um, the, the studies you have to say? But now we have the collaborative law. It's very strong in Brazil right now. We have the integrative law movement.
Yes.
And Kim Wright is doing this in several continents with all these conferences, online conference. Can you imagine? I can talk to you. You are in Australia, and one day ahead of me, and I'm
Yes.
here in Brazil, and we are together. We can do all the conference. We don't have more. We don't have any chance to say I don't go.
Yes.
I cannot travel.
Yeah.
You can participate of anything you want to, and it's very free. It's a freedom for all of us
It
to.
is, and there's a great connection we all have. It's
Yeah,
amazing, isn't it, now that we can all connect globally and bring this message together. Whereas I think, yes, traditionally, previously, it was law schools taught a certain thing, and you carried that into the world, and you wondered, well, what else is there? What are other people doing? And now we're all so connected, and the message is beautiful. Of bringing more compassion and alternative ways of resolving a conflict. And that's what this is really about, isn't it? It's alternative ways of resolving a conflict, not the traditional way of fighting with someone and saying they're bad and wrong. That's not the way anymore. It's seeing how do we create this and how can we move through it together in a dignified, respectful way with some love about it and see what did we learn out of it. That's what I think about that. What about, and you work in with women's rights for peace in homes and things like that. Tell me all about that.
yes. 20 years ago, I decided to work on the domestic violence movement in Brazil. It was a very beginning of all this women's right in Brazil, and I decided to found this non-profit organization called Monga. We have a website, and we have one or two pages in English, and it's very important because the family, I feel the family is the unique cell that you can reach peace in homes, is a family, and it's a work, daily work. We women and men as partners can build together this peace moment in our homes, to to show to our children that we have peace in the world. So we must start from some point, and
From
I guess
home. Yeah.
it's a hard work
Yeah.
to.
That's what I think too. It's a refocusing, isn't it? It's refocusing and learning to refocus instead of keeping our old patterns going. We do have to do some work or refocus. How do we want this to look now? Nobody wants to fight. Nobody really wants to fight. That's just a result of something else. So I agree with you. It's yeah, it all starts at home or with the self, and then there's a bit of refocusing needed.
Yes, as mother and father, we must show our best, and
Mm.
our legacy will be all love we
Yeah.
have in this relationship, because it's not easy to be mother and professional, and and someone who wants to be an activist. It's not
Yeah.
easy. It's
No.
not easy. But when you think that your children is learning from the source of your heart, you
Yeah.
have this strength to move on every day and deliver your best for your family members, and also to be an inspiration for your colleagues, for your co-workers, and that is what we are doing about. We want a better world, but we must build this better world in our homes at first, and then be a model, maybe a model or an inspiration for others.
I think that's so true. I think being the inspiration or being the change, as Gandhi said, be the change, but being an inspiration rather than telling people what to do. I don't think anyone can hear any more instructions from anyone else. I think it is living that model life of coming from a loving place that inspires somebody else. They see it, they can feel it. It's more than words now. I think there's so many words. We've got all this, whilst the connection of internet is beautiful, there's a lot of information coming, and I think it's time to slow down from all that. And for ourselves, it's just to go within and be a change. And when you do that, I think others can see it. When you connect with them, they see it. They see, oh, there's something different about you. Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's beautiful.
And when we are, for example, when the client comes to us, they are in so many pain, and they have no clue of the picture, the whole picture you can see. But it's so painful to tell them how we're gonna move on with this huge puzzle, like a puzzle that you're going to put piece by piece, but you, as a lawyer, you have the whole picture, and the client doesn't have this picture. And you take some pieces and say, why don't you move on this way and that way? And you bring the conflict resolution to the table and say, how long do you want to suffer? Or maybe we can find a peace corridor here and talk about this and solve this situation in a better way, and in behalf of all children. And so when you talk about this, you kind of go from the heart, because we have this mind center, but it's not so
smart
and prosperous as the heart. So with the heart center decision, you have more possibilities to win, because you have to find a win-win model.
Win-win, that's it. Yeah, it's more choices, I think. Don't you think, is when we give a client, rather than saying this is the law and this is what's going to happen and this is the division of property and this is how we're going to deal with your children. It's like, no, there's another way. And this is opening up more choices for people, so they take their own power back and they feel that they're going to sail their own ship. They've got the rudder, and they can decide which way forward. It'll look like this will look like that. But it's opening up all the choice to heart. The heart space opens up far many more choices for people. And it's such a beautiful thing when a lawyer can deliver the opportunity for a client to have more choices. A client feels better then. They feel better. It's just like, oh, wow, I made this decision. You gave me more choices. I didn't know I had these choices. It's lovely, isn't it? Yes. It's lovely for the lawyer too, isn't it? I think it's a lovely thing for a lawyer to be able to do, because when you're coming from the heart space, you're sort of building that love energy for everybody, including yourself.
Yes, I feel that in our hearts, we as holistic lawyers, we can deliver more, and we can work with passion. As we say that the straight lawyer is suffering very much, because they are not gladiators, as sometimes the client wants to hide the gladiator. But actually, this is not the good path for a happier life, in happier professional life, because
That's right. We're not trained. We're born to be a gladiator and keep fighting. I mean, well, some of us were, I think, and that's okay. That's okay if that's your choice. But it is really about giving a client more choices. Say, well, look, you can have a gladiator if you want, but did war create peace? Did war create peace? This is the question. No, it didn't. It created more war at the end of the day and resentment, rather than, if we look at other options, yes, you're hurt. We acknowledge that a client is hurt. These situations are hurtful, but let's go in and work out why we're hurting, and then feel all of that. I mean, they're beautiful big stories, and to have a lawyer, as you just said, show a client we can see the big picture for them,
yeah.
and give them the pathways, and give them the torch to light up the pathways out of that space. And so that's how you see holistic law, as looking at the big picture?
Yes, in the beginning of my holistic practice, I count on my mentors that were ahead of me, and they made me understand and have more confidence on risking on this path. For example, used to have, him and have interviewed used to have Kim Wright, the ambassador John McDonald, who is not with between us anymore. He passed away 2 years ago, but he was nominated to he was my mentor for peace building, and he was
Wow.
nominated for the Nobel Prize for
Yeah,
Peace.
that's
So
crazy.
I had this opportunity to have these wonderful mentors, Bill Zyverden, that opened this International Alliance of Holistic Lawyers, and he's still inspiring me. And when I feel that I have so much was given to me, and I have my obligation to share with all this new generation this possibility, because if it was possible 20 years ago, can you imagine now when you have all this opportunity to go online and talk to anybody, and to go to conferences and look for a better way to have a better professional life, a better life, and make the difference you always were seeking of having this opportunity. Now you have no excuse to, yeah, you have no excuse for not trying your best. And we are here to open this possibility to all of your viewers, all of my viewers,
Yes.
and
And
in,
students of
invite
law.
them to risk
Yeah.
with us, and to have fun living the real life, because
Yes.
our life is plenty of abundance, of compassion, and we need to work with compassion, tolerance, and this is all about holistic law. So
Well, I think it's funny when you say holistic as well. For the lawyer, a lot of lawyers go to work and put their lawyer hat on and be a lawyer, and go home and be someone different, rather than bringing their whole self to work,
exactly.
because that's who you are. Bring all of you. That's holistic law as well, not just dealing with a client from an holistic point of view, but dealing with yourself that way. Just checking in. Am I bringing all of me to work? Because I am the heart and the mind. I am the intellect and the compassion. I am all of those things. Bring it all with you. You'll feel better. Yeah, I think that's amazing. Well, I think you're so inspiring, and you've talked about your mentors, but you also are a mentor. You've written 4 books. You've set up these beautiful organizations for women's rights. It's so very inspiring for all young lawyers coming through now to say there are different pathways. We have all this connection available. There's more information. You don't have to do it in the traditional way. This is beautiful. And we have people like Tania around showing us how to do this work, and she lives this. So I love that. Now I'd like to leave us on a note of what sort of advice would you give to a young lawyer that's seeking a different way of doing things? What would you say to them now?
Oh, well, what I would say is to follow your heart, to work with passion, and it will happen, and you feel all the symphony, all the inspiration. You find all the questions because it's not about you, it's about love.
Yeah.
And when we talk about love, all is possible. Even what you are not thinking about is possible. So let's open our hearts and be lighter and be happier. That's what I would say. Follow your heart.
That's so beautiful. So very beautiful. Thank you so much, Tania. And now, for any young lawyers out there, especially if you're in Brazil or anywhere around the world, because you can connect with Tania, her contact details are in the description below. So please do reach out if you want to learn more about holistic law. She's right there for you. And I thank you so much for being part of the show today, Tania, all the way from Brazil. And it's wonderful to see you again. And I will just say thank you to everybody who's watching today. And we're just trying to bring more love into the world and to legal practice. I'll try and work
Thank you for having me.
it. Take good care. Bye now. Bye now.
Bye.